Okay. So if you see on the screen, right, this, so just wanted to showcase you how the roles and responsibilities will be there in software industry. So typically we have a client who has a set of requirements, okay, and there will be a project leader or or a person who will handle the entire project, okay, and there will be an analyst who will understand the entire requirement, okay, and he will delegate, he will act as a middleman between the software developer and the testers, who will be what do you say, making the people understand more about the requirement. And there is this programmer who will start writing his code, okay. Is it not audible at all for all? Okay. Nagman, there's some problem at your end. Look like, can you please recheck once? Okay. So typically the programmer is the one, or a developer is the one who will start analyzing requirements and develop them from his perspective. Okay, and then there will be the business consultant who will act between what do you say, the development and testers, and with the client side. Okay, so he will act as the one who will act as a catalyst between both of them, and then the testers will come into place who will test the entire requirement. So now this picture, why I am showing is, this picture will depict the need of a tester or a third eye, or a pair of another eye, who will know, who will understand the entire flow of the business, and then will start testing it according to the requirement of the customer. Okay. Now we should commonly understand that it is the end customer who is the uh, uh, what is it, sole person for whom we are developing this project, right? So we should act according to his requirement. Give me 1 second. One second. Okay. So if you see, the primary purpose of a developer and a tester is to make the to give a quality product to the end customer, right? So the intention is, if we are doing a software testing, the primary focus will be understand the requirement, do the testing according to the requirement, and give the quality product to him. Now, if we are saying that, 1 second, I'm actually, there's some problem here. Okay, so okay, so so on a high level, what will be discussed in this QA session will be the entire flow of the project. So SDLC or an SDLC model, and then the SDLC is nothing but the software development lifecycle. Okay, the types of lifecycle which will be there in a typical software process, and how the SDLC will come into place. The SDLC is nothing but software test lifecycle. Okay, once we understand the entire life cycle of the project or the software life cycle, that includes development as well as the testing, Then we will start analyzing, or will start understanding what are the different types of testing in it. Okay, it includes the system testing, functional testing, integration testing, regression testing, etc. And once we know the basic concepts of the testing, then we will start understanding how we do the typical testing process. So that starts with requirement analysis, and then we'll jump into the test planning. How will we do test planning? Is on a high level is nothing but how do we test, when do we test, and where do we test, how to stop the testing process, because obviously the the industry standard is the testing cycle will never end. There is no end to the amount of testing we do. So when to stop, when to start, all these things will be mentioned in the test planning. So once that is done, then obviously the test environment would be set up. But from a tester perspective, we need to understand how the environment, or how the software product being developed is set up. So once that is done, we will start creating test data for testing. Parallelly, we have to start write the test cases. Uh, this will be done only when we understand the requirement completely. So once that is done, we do the end-to-end testing. So that comes under the test execution of the entire flow. So once this is done, we will find we have to start reporting to the client or the end user or the stakeholders. So for which we prepare the reporting, or we have the test metrics for that. So once that is done, it also includes defects, right? So the defects that are found have to be notified to the developer as well as the stakeholders. So once this is done, then we have to create a traceability matrix where it shows these are the test cases that are written for this requirement, and these are the defects that are found in this particular requirement. So the last 3 points, that is reporting and the traceability matrix, is more about the test management. This comes as the reporting part in the STLC process. So once we give a stamp stating that this particular requirement is nearby or as per the requirement of the client, then it will be released into the UAT. UAT is nothing but user acceptance testing. Okay, so in user acceptance testing, people who are the end users of this particular requirement will sit along with the developers, testers, business analysts, and make sure that this is as per the requirement. Now if they find any bugs or defects in this particular section, then they will go back to then the developers will sit back, they'll write the code again, and the entire process will restart. Okay, now all said and done, the change management is one important point in the entire software test lifecycle. So say we have developed a code, and tomorrow there's a change in the user's requirement. For example, if we take Gmail, earlier the compose section was coming as a new page. Now the what is it, the user demand has the user requirement has changed, and we see it as a pop-up on the right side of the window, top on the bottom right side of the window, right? So now how will we have already written some test cases for the previous the compose page was opening in a new window or a new page. Now, how will we make sure these test cases are or can be reused when the requirement has changed, right? So, understanding this requirement and making use or making reuse of the already written test cases is a very challenging part. Okay, this is one part of the change management. Now, say suppose client has changed the requirement and it is not documented. Okay, and after the code has been developed and the client has said that this is not what my requirement is all about. So how will we mitigate such situation, right? So all this will come under the change management. Okay, so this is also very important in the software testing lifecycle. Now, uh, after this is typically the end of testing actually. Now, apart from this, our primary focus will be on GUI testing. Okay, Now, we have already classified the testing. If you see the Karthik's orientation session, we have GUI testing, which is the front-end testing. We have database testing. We have the ETL testing. We have automation testing, either using UFT or Selenium, and we have what do you say, the performance testing using JMeter or Load Runner or any other tool such like that. Okay, so these are primarily the testing areas. So as part of this orientation or this QA manual testing, right, our primary focus will be on GUI testing. Okay, the other types of testing is already covered in the videos which we have. Okay, was it are you not able to see the course content? Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, now are you able to see? Are you able to see, right? Sorry, I didn't share the screen. Okay. So this is the typical, what do you say, this is what on a high level we will be covering in the entire course. Okay. And the last but not the least is the test management tools that are going to be used, are being used in the industry. Okay. So on a high level, right, we classify the test management tools like one for the requirement analysis, one for the entire software test lifecycle, and one for the entire SDLC life cycle. Okay, or and the third one will be the one for entire change management. Okay, so in the tools which I cover is I cover is Quality Center, which is now HPALM. Okay, and Jira. Jira is another open source tool where we can do the entire SDLC process, where we can track the entire life cycle. Okay, so this is on a high level what will be covered in the course going forward. Okay. If do you have any questions, I'm unmuting you all. You can ask me, and then we'll go forward. Or you can ping me on the chat. Okay, no questions. You can ping me on the chat. I mean, we'll continue after this. Okay, so Madhumita is asking if we have any questions on the live project for automation, whom should we ask? So we have a blog, or we have a discussion forum in the website where you can ask the questions, and we will be very happy to answer this. Okay, uh, and Sharon is asking, can you repeat the point about different management tools for different phases? Okay, so. On a high level, right, how a developer and his task will, how a developer does his task, and what are the phases in his way of doing the task will be different, and how a tester does his task and what his way of completing the project will be different. And the third perspective is how do we track the complete change management. Okay, so based on that, we have multiple tools. So for the entire project life cycle, we can use Jira. Okay, and for the entire software test life cycle management, we use HPALM or Oracle Oats or any other tool like Bugzilla. Okay, this again will have two perspectives. One is, if we want to do only defect management, then we will go for Bugzilla. It's an open source tool, and based on the cost or the finance concerns of the the client, we will use the open source tools. And then we have the standalone tools like HPALM or OATS, where the entire life cycle, like from requirement analysis, where client will enter all the requirements for which the development has to be done. From where we will start doing the analysis, and then we will create the test plan. Then we will create the test cases based on the sprint or whatever testing or development life cycle people are maintaining. Okay, and after that we will have the defect management, and once that is done, we will have the reporting. So HPLM is one such suite which will give the entire end-to-end in a software testing lifecycle. Okay, Bugzilla is just used only to maintain the defects. Okay, Jira is another open source tool where we can easily it's like HPLM itself, but it is very lighter in version. Okay, it doesn't have many functionalities as of now. Okay. Yes. So Premal is asking whether is it possible we maintain manual test cases in QC and automation done by Selenium. Yes, we can do that. It's like this. Premal, for your information, QC we no longer call it as quality center. It is, the name is changed to HPALM. Okay. So now we maintain the test cases in HPALM, and the automation is done using Selenium tool. Now the test scripts can be maintained in HPLM, where we need to have an add-on for it. Okay. Hope this answered your question. Shobha is asking, I couldn't attend the orientation session. This class is more about the manual testing, Shobha. We have another session for another training that is going for Selenium. I'll ask my team to get back to you about this. Okay. Yes, Arun is asking whether this module will cover automation testing. Yes, this will cover the automation testing. You can parallelly, if you are interested, you can parallelly choose the automation session, or you can wait for this session to complete, and then we will start the automation session. This will be handled by another trainer. Okay. So Radhika is asking the difference between QC and ALM. QC and ALM are both the same. It's just that earlier it was QC, now it is changed to ALM. Okay. Suma is asking, is Selenium training different? Okay. Selenium is an open source automation testing tool actually. This training which I am taking care is more of manual testing. It's the initial phase of a testing. Okay. Initially in any development project, we do the manual testing first, and once the environment is stable, then only we will start with automation. So that can be used by doing QTP, which we are now saying UFT, and then open source tools like Selenium will be used. And now there is another tool by Oracle called as OATS. Okay, so these are the automation tools which are widely used. So this session is completely different to automation session. Okay. Ali is asking when Selenium Live project start. It will start 15 days after this. The course schedule will be shared to all again. It is present in the website. Okay. Uh, any other questions? Okay, this class is for MoST or QA. See, this class is a part of MoST. Okay. On a brief, on a high level, MoST will cover both manual testing and automation testing. Apart from that, ETL testing and database testing also. So it is up to you which kind of class you want to attend, but we suggest you to take all the classes, okay, so that you will be the master of all the parts or all the types of testing which we are doing. So Indrajit, and you have any question? Uh, any other questions, please? Okay. Okay. So the primary focus of this MoST is we should have a complete understanding on the entire testing life cycle, both on the manual front as well as the automation. Now, in the industry is expanding, and the needs, software needs of the customer are expanding. Earlier, right, it was typical a front end, either using Java or .NET or mainframes, and the data is being stored into a database, okay, and from there on, the data is being fetched. Now, with the amount of data that is being what do you say, inserted into the data into the system, there's a lot of information or data that is present. This is either in a raw format or it is in a clustered or unstructured format. So that's where the need of database testing started. Okay. And from then on, now once the database is set up, the amount of data is huge, right? Now getting a meaningful information from this data is the need of our for the client. And then that's where the business intelligence part started, business intelligence. So this has to be tested. So how do we test it? This is done by using ETL testing and report testing. So the complete suite is called as BI testing. Okay. So this is one part. Now doing all things manually, doing manual testing is a tedious process, and it is time consuming. So that's the reason they started automating it. So that's where the automation testing has come into picture. Now once that is done, the load on the system has to be tested. So that's where load testing or performance testing evolved. Okay. As of now, these five are the major parts in the typical testing environment. Okay. And there are others like integration testing, where we have multiple systems, because system interact with multiple systems. Like if you say Amazon will have multiple vendors, and vendors will have their own database or their own way of maintaining the data. Now getting that data into the Amazon database, it's like integrating the system, right? So so that is where web services testing has evolved. So this one is also budding technology in testing. Okay. So this is what the entire MoST training will be included. So these are all the areas that will be covered under the MoST. Okay. Hope this answered your questions. Any other questions, please? Okay. So This is today is just an what is it, on a high level we have discussed what will be covered. Okay, from tomorrow we'll start with the software development life cycle. Okay, um, so I will be winding up the session for today. If you have any questions, I'll wait for 5-10 minutes. You can ask your questions if you have any. Okay, Sharon is asking, do manual tester perform integration testing? Yes, integration testing is also a part of manual testing. Okay, so it's like this: if there is a huge amount of data that is passing from one system to the other system, then that will be done using the web services testing. Okay, but if you say if you are moving from one page to the other page, then both pages are different, okay, by functionality. But if you have to integrate both these pages and make sure that when migrating from one page to the other, the functionality is intact and it is working as per the requirement. So that sort of integration we will do as a manual tester. Okay, hope this answered your question. Yeah, at the API level, that will be done as part of web services testing. Yes, not at the code level, right? Okay. So at this point, I will just emphasize, or I'll give a brief glimpse of what the code level is testing is all about. So we classify testing on a high level as black box and white box testing. Black box testing is nothing but whatever we see on the front end. So if we test that, that is called as black box testing. And if we test the code that is written on the back end, that is called as white box testing. So for doing white box testing, right, we need to have a basic understanding on the technology which is used to write the functionality. Or say suppose the front end is developed, okay, and the back end that is used to develop the pages, web pages, is Java, say suppose. So if we are doing the testing on the front end web pages, that is called as black box testing. And if you are doing the testing on the logic that is written using the Java or .NET code, is called as white box testing. So API level testing, it is both white box testing and black box testing. So if we test the code that is written, that is called as white box. So if we are interested, then we can do the white box testing. But generally, from a manual testing perspective, we do the functionality or the front end testing itself. Okay. So Radhika is asking, for automation testing, do we need to know coding? Yes, we need to know about a minimal coding. So suppose if you take UFT, a minimal knowledge on the VB scripting is enough. Okay. There are two types of automating this. One is record and playback, which is you just hit the screens or whatever environment you are testing, that will automatically generate your code. It's just that you need to have write some what you say logics or just iteration based testing. So if we have minimal knowledge on the VB script, then we can usually use UFT. And if we take Selenium, we need to have a minimal or basic understanding about JavaScript. Okay. Yes. So for automation testing, we need to have a knowledge of coding. For load testing, it's very easy tool actually. It's very minimal knowledge on the scripting or the coding actually. Load testing using load runner uh, uh, or any other tool is very easy. It's just that you have to increase the number of iterations or the number of persons who are doing the testing. So it's just like entering the data in the front end. So suppose you are a simple example is The test is about testing whether if a particular application is accessed by 1,000 users, can that system sustain that particular load. So in that case, the tool that is used for doing load testing doesn't ask for any code. It will ask for the URL which has to be accessed by the 1,000 users and the number of users under test. So it's very simple. It's just that it needs to plug into that environment. That's it. So load testing doesn't need a lot of coding actually. But for automation testing, yes, we need to have an understanding about whatever tool we are using, either it is Java, yeah, VB scripting. Hope this answers your question. Okay. Arun is asking, is this part of QMA? Yes. So these two, today and Friday session are free sessions. You can attend the sessions and you can have a glimpse about what this course is all about and what will be covered under this course. And from March 7th, we will start the paid sessions where we'll have the detailed level discussion about all these things, all the testing parts. Okay. Okay. Any other questions, please? Okay. So looks like there are no other questions. So we'll meet again on Friday, and we will start on a high level about the entire software development lifecycle and software testing lifecycle. Okay. Uh, okay. Yes, if you have already paid for ETL testing, then uh, I'll ask my team to get back about on this because I have no clue about all these things. Okay. Uh, okay. So that's it, right? Any other questions? Okay. Thank you all for attending to this session, and we will meet you back on Friday. Okay. Thanks all. Good night and good day.